Stop wasting your life. These principles got me from a corporate employee with a good career to a business owner designing my life around my business, my family, and fulfillment. Now, you may be thinking, Mark, I've heard about goals. I've heard about the goals conversations 1,000 times. I've read the books. I've done my vision boards. I've set my targets on January 1st. And yet here we are, and nothing has really been achieved. I've missed goals. And I ask myself why I've missed them. Now, on the surface, most people will say, I just got busy. The timing wasn't right. These are real things. But 9 times out of 10, it comes back to the same thing. The goal existed, the standards didn't. And this is what I'm going to be talking about today. Principle 1, set your standards. Don't just set goals, you need to set your standards that make the goals inevitable. And this is where most people get it wrong straight away. A goal is, I want to build a successful business. A standard is, I will spend 2 hours every morning on revenue generating activities, no exceptions. One is a wish, the other is a commitment. When I was in corporate, I had no real standards. I had targets set by somebody else, measured by somebody else, and rewarding someone else's term. The moment I went out on my own, I had to build my own standards from scratch. And it was tough. It was terrifying because there was nobody checking me, nobody holding me accountable, just me. This is the bit that nobody tells you about when you leave corporate. In a job, you have a structure which is handed to you, a start time, a manager, a performance review. Take that away and most people fall apart, not because they lack talent, because they've never learned how to hold themselves to their own standards. I had to become my own boss in every sense of the word, not just on a business card, but in my daily behaviors, in the commitments I made to myself when nobody was watching. The standards had to be black and white. Did you do it today or did you not? There's no gray area. There's no excuses. And there's no, I'll do it tomorrow. That daily discipline, that's what separates the founders who build something for real and the ones that are still thinking about the idea 3 years later. Principle 2, design your environment. Remove friction from you and making good decisions. Make success the path of the least resistance. Now, this is one that I have lived and it is hard. When I left the corporate job, I went from commuting into the office every day to working from home. And at first, it sounds like a dream. No commute, no open plan office, no pointless meetings, endless meetings. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about. The office gave me structure. I didn't even realize that I was relying on it. Remove it, and suddenly you're responsible for every single decision that you make from waking up. So I had to redesign my whole day from scratch. And the morning routine became everything. How I get up in the morning, what I do in the morning, it is non-negotiable. It's the foundation that everything else is built upon. Get that morning routine right, and you will be focused, clear, and ready to execute. Get it wrong, the whole day can unravel. That is the environment design in action. You need to be relying on yourself to build structures and not just be hoping for motivation or hoping for willpower. Think about your own steps right now. My morning routine is very much wake up in the morning, cup of coffee, breakfast, watch the news, shower, gym, come back, start the day. Everyone's is going to be different. Some people might be a little bit more elaborate. Some might be very focused and short. So you need to be able to think about what are the things that are going to set you up for the day to be successful. Principle number 3, gamifying your process. You need to track things perhaps visually or cross things off on the calendar. Watch a streak build. Your brain responds to this visible wins. This is how I do it in my business. I run KPIs and revenue is only one of them. It's important to me, and I think it should be important to you, that most business owners track revenue and they need to track other things on top of it. Revenue is important, but other aspects need to be monitored as well. It's telling you what actually happened in the business, and it can't lie. The numbers don't lie. So I track all sorts of things: revenue, sales conversations, LinkedIn posts. You need to be able to understand what those activities are, which will change the behaviors that is going to make you win. So it's a way of being able to track your activities. So make sure that you are tracking them and that the revenue is coming through, but profitability, other KPIs that are most important for you. What I would suggest, if you're struggling with working out what your KPIs are, use ChatGPT or Claude or whichever platform you use, and just ask, for a business this size, what should I be tracking? And then once you then use that, then think about what are the key ones that are going to be the most important to track on a weekly basis. Because some things can be tracked on a monthly basis, but some things can need to be tracked on a weekly basis. So this is how you're going to gamify it for yourself, that you want to then hit those KPIs, get to where you need to be fast.
I want to talk to you about something I got wrong early on. I thought I knew my competition. I knew their names. I'd look at their website. I'd heard what clients said about them. I thought that was enough. It wasn't. I would make in positional decisions, pricing decisions that affected whether we won or we lost based on assumptions, not on evidence. That's not competitor intelligence. That's just awareness. And there is a big difference. Today, this episode is sponsored by CEO Friends, and their competitor analysis is genuinely the thing I wish I'd had before. You put in your domain, it identifies your real competitors, tells you where you're strong, where you're exposed, and what moves you should be making. It's free, ready in a minute, no sign up required to get you to your summary. If you're making growth decisions right now, pricing, positioning, entering a new market, you want to do this before you commit to anything, not after. If you go to bit.ly/4VKENXQ and run the free analysis now, and if you decide to go further into a free full trial, use the link below in the show notes and use BGT10 for 10% off. Let's get back into the show.
Principle number 4, connect to an identity. Stop waiting for results before you can call yourself a business owner or an entrepreneur or maybe a high performer. Become that person first. The results follow the identity, not the other way. This one took me a long time to grasp. When I left corporate, I still thought of myself as a consultant who was trying to do something in a similar vein. I hadn't fully committed to being a business owner. There was always this hedge. There was a backup plan mentality. And if I was dipping my toe in, I wasn't diving straight in. The shift happens when I stopped hedging, when I stopped keeping one foot in the old world, and I decided that this was what I was going to commit to long term. The moment your identity is impacting those decisions, it becomes easier because you start asking yourself, should I do this? And asking yourself, when am I going to do this? And that I am going to do this. Being able to connect your identity into your business as a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call yourself, is a real way of understanding that there is no backup plan. There is no job that you can go to. You have to succeed. And when you make that connection between your identity and your career, which is your business, that's when the success happens. So don't forget that you are now a business owner. Principle number 5, upgrade your peer group. The people around you are either pulling you forward or anchoring you down. There really is no real neutral. This is one I have lived and breathed from day one of my entrepreneurial journey. From the moment I went on my own, I started to network consistently, deliberately, intentionally. And I turned up to events, went online. A lot of it was online at the time. And I turned up and I spoke and I connected and I built relationships, because genuinely building relationships are the things that are going to make you sustainable. Over time, that network became one of the most valuable assets in my business. not just for referrals, although referral partnerships have been huge for me, but as a support network as well, a sounding board, a group of people who understand what you are going through as well, and they can able to support you. When you're in a corporate world and something goes wrong, you have a team around you. You have a manager, a structure, peers. But when you go out on your own, it can be incredibly isolating and lonely. Having people around you when it gets tough is what's going to be able to make it sustainable. So that quality of your peer group determines the quality of your thinking. Spend time with people who are playing big. They're not just playing small. Spend time with people who are building something to the standards that you want to get to. So this is really important because without that support network, people that I can lean on, I would not have been doing this podcast for 8+ years and my business for 5+ years. So think about it. Do you need to get in a networking group? Do you need a mentor or a coach? Do you need to join a mastermind? Do you need to go to a conference? Do you need to go and have coffee with someone to be able to just think about what the next steps are? Your peer group is so important. And as a business owner, sometimes people get isolated and they think they are the only people that can make those decisions. You are the only person that make the decisions, but you need to consult with people and learn from people and be accountable to people. Principle number 6, get back on the horse. This is the one I want to spend real time on because this is one that nearly broke me. When you go out on your own, and I mean on your own, you will fall off the horse, guaranteed. A client falls through, a launch doesn't happen, month goes by and you haven't done the things that you said you were going to do. And here's what most people think. They will miss one day, then have a bad feeling about that, of missing that day. And then it just snowballs on from there. It can go day to day, week to week, month to month. That goal and those standards you set can fall quick, and it can turn into a negative downward spiral. The rule is simple. Never go more than 2 days without doing the thing that you need to do. A bad moment doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad day or bad week. Get back on the horse immediately. Not on Monday, not next week, next month, now. I had to learn this the hard way. There were points in my journey where I questioned whether I'd made the right call leaving corporate, whether the risk was worth it at all, whether I should go back to the safety of the herd. The internal voice got loud when things weren't working. It tells you the mistakes that you made and it just builds and builds. But you can't quit. Don't listen to that voice. Every founder that I've spoken to on my show, and for well over 600 episodes, every single one of them have had moments where they wanted to quit and where the wheels are falling off. One of my questions at the end of every show is, when did you want to give up and what made you pull through? The important point is not that they wanted to give up. Everyone does that. But what made them pull through? It can be any number of things. It can be stubbornness. It can be desire. It can be fulfillment, the aim of fulfillment. That is so important, that it is going to happen. You're going to have bad days. Doesn't matter what aspect of your life, whether it's business, whether it's life, whether it's health, whether it's family, there are going to be times where you don't know what to do or you're confused, and you've got to stop that downward spiral and get back on that horse and start again. If you take nothing from this other than that, is once you make a mistake, once something bad happens, whether it's in your control or something external happening, you have to be able to start again, get back on the horse and drive your business forward. Principle number 7, make it public. Tell people what you're doing. Call it out to them. And I want you to be specific about this, because it's not just about being accountable. It's about building successful habits. Think about it. When you keep your goals private, nobody knows them and nobody will miss them. There are no consequences. So the brain finds it easy to let it slide. But when you go public, the equation changes completely. Now there are people watching. Now there's people going to ask you about it. Now they will notice if you don't do it. I've told friends, family, people on LinkedIn, I said that I was building this and this is what I'm doing. And I meant it and I showed up partly because people were watching. And here's a recent example that really brought home to me. I was building a lead magnet for podcast introduction, and I was working with an accountability partner on it. And at the end of the day, after I'd built it, got an MVP, I shared the progress with her. And I showed her the progress that I'd done and asked for feedback. And that is something interesting about accountability partners. And it's part of your peer group as well. If you build into that, that you are telling people what you're doing and that you're doing it, people will ask you about it, and then you have to get it done. It's got to be a mindset of when you're going to get those things done and when you're going to make them public. So the public accountability, it stops procrastination. It gets things done that perhaps would have been on your to-do list forever. It's important to think about accountability partners. It's important about going public on LinkedIn, maybe, of what you're doing. You then need to make sure that it is hard for you to fail. And if you do fail, get back on the horse. So what have we learned from today? What I was doing previously in my corporate career was following the herd. Decent career, safe life, zero fulfillment. The journey from here has been not smooth at all. It's not linear. It doesn't go up straight away. There have been plenty of ups and downs, but I set myself standards. I designed my environment. I tracked my progress. I owned my identity. I invested in my peer group. I got back on the horse every single time, and I made it public, so I had no excuses to not do it. That's the journey. It can be hard, but it also can be incredibly fulfilling. So ask yourself these two things. What are the standards, daily standards that you want? Not goals, but your standards. And the last time that I fell off, and how long did I stay down? If you hit me up in the comments below, what were those two things? I will respond to them. I will keep you accountable. By all means, put in there what you are doing, what your plan is. And hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If there's anyone that needs to hear this, please do share it with them. I hope to add value all the time. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please do consider giving a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. It really helps get to a wider audience. And as I said, share and comment on the post on the show today. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time, and on to the next one.